Hey everybody, it's Romania Black, and we're on episode 4 of Mob Psycho 100. Oh, I friggin' love this show already, and we're only 3 episodes down. I think I'm having so much fun with it, and last episode just went bonkers, and it didn't have any reason to, it just did. And so now there's this weird green thing with Mob. We don't know what it is. Reigen wasn't really in the last episode very much. He was only in the last part to give his words of wisdom, his mentorship. And now that episode 1 has dropped on YouTube and episode 2 is on Patreon, I want to just say the Reigen thirst is just so palpable. I am having such a blast in the Discord with everybody with Reigen, and I want to make a few notes here. I don't really have many comments, but I want to note some things from the Discord that have come up that I want to bring to your attention, and I'll put them over here on the side so you get like a preview of what we've been talking about. But I want to give a shout out to Kiri, Bright Girl, and on Twitter, DJ or at Another Femi, because you 3 have pointed out some amazing things. So, as a fellow Reigen truther, as they're called, as a Reigen truther, I want to point out Bright Girl. Bright Girl started this whole thing by putting up the idea on here that apparently there was like an animators talk where they were getting with the animators of Mob Psycho 100. For the record, I would love to be a fly on the wall in Bone Studio as they made this show, because I'm sure that the animators and the writers just have the biggest blast adapting this manga and just having the biggest just barrel of fun animating this and doing crazy things with the animation, because it's based on a webcomic. The webcomic, I've seen some shots in the Discord of the webcomic animation. It's very simplistic, and so they get to kind of go crazy with it, right? Which is really awesome, right? It reminds me of like when Mappa takes Jujutsu Kaisen. Jujutsu Kaisen, Akutami, their writing is very rough and sketchy, kind of like Attack on Titan, sort of, in a weird way. And Mappa just says, what if we just made it look really good? That's kind of what Bones does with this. Right, but apparently the animators have said some very not safe for work things about Reigen, and all of these animators are horny on main for animating Reigen. So there's going to be a little bit of not safe for work talk in what I'm about to say. So just, if you are an innocent, sweet summer child, gird your ears for the next minute, because Bright Girl pointed out that on April 2nd, the animators talk, Kamada, who is the Mob Psycho 100 anime character designer, said certain comments such as, and I quote, Reigen's closed up eyes in episode 12, which we've not got yet, so I guess it's kind of spoiler warning for the future, is inspired from Yu Yu Hakusho's Yusuke. So that'll be something to look forward to when we get to it. That's all I need to know about it for now. But quote, the model for Reigen's sexiness in overall was you from Marmalade Boy. I referenced his standing pose. I like drawing him from his peachy bum, his waist to his back, like running your tongue over, starting from his ass. What does that even mean? What? And so then there's been so many things on Twitter point out, like Kiri, this was pointed out, Reigen is neither homosexual nor heterosexual. He is not bisexual, nor even pansexual. He is simply sexual. The energy is generated from him. It surrounds him, and yet somehow fails to permeate him. He is an enigma. He is Reigen Arataka. I was like, I'm losing it. Oh my god, I absolutely lose it. And I love that this was also shared in the Discord, that in the manga, it shows Reigen being a complete trash king and like taking up this whole love seat and making Mob like sit on the side. But in the anime, they show that Mob gets to have the chair and Reigen's like in a little office chair beside him. And so it said in the tweet, the difference between Reigen letting Mob sit in the comfy chair drawn by the anime guys versus the one drew where Reigen takes the whole effing couch and makes Mob sit on a tiny chair. And then the person that retweeted it said, anime Reigen is if the whole studio collectively went, I can fix him. That's brilliant. But although I have to say, DJ at Another Femi sharing this whole like montage about Reigen, and it was funny. They posted this on Twitter the same day we were talking about it with Bright Girl on the Discord about the whole animator talking about drawing him from the butt up, and it says everyone loves Reigen, even Studio Bones. They yassified Reigen so much that it became a meme. One of the animators even talks about how he starts drawing him from the ass up, which we just referenced. The thirst for Reigen is real. If you type in Google internet sex symbol, you'll find his pictures. I can't. He is the best of both worlds. He is a trash king, and the animators absolutely love him. I love that. I think it might have been 6 Amings was posting in the Discord saying that people either are obsessively thirsty for Reigen or they obsessively roast him. And I'm here for it. It is giving me life. So I'm like, yes, if this series has given me anything, it is Reigen Arataka, and my life is forever better for it. But I'm excited to see how his character grows throughout this, because as we saw in the last episode, he does have some moments of clarity where he actually helps Mob through his troublesome adolescence. He's a trash king, but he is offering some decent advice when he's not using Mob for his con man scams. So there you go. But Mob is also a precious summer child being that must be protected at all costs, and we must keep him from blowing up and going into rage mode. So there's that. So I'm so excited to get in episode 4, but I had to share those with you because they made my day so much happier. So I got off work today. It's been a long day, and I was like, I could have watched Vinland Saga. I could have watched Neon Genesis. I could have watched Death Note, and I was like, I can't. I was like, my brain is shot. It has been a long day. I have a night class that I'm teaching on one night a week, and this is that night. And I was like, I can't. So I came home and I was like, what do I want to watch? And I was like, I want to watch Mob Psycho. And that's where we're at, because this show gives me such energy and I'm here for it. So we're going to watch episode 4 and see maybe what this green thing is. I don't know. It looks like Slimer. I'm assuming it's a spirit, but why it has decided to like attach itself to Mob, I am not sure. So, but we'll find out, right? So I poured myself some soda and we're gonna go into it, but let's not waste any more time. I've talked enough. We're gonna start Mob Psycho 100 episode 4, and we're gonna do that here in 3, 2, 1, and let's do this. Teru. Oh my gosh. I am loving all of these new major characters that are getting introduced. Teru. Yeah, Mob's. He's going to be Mob's nemesis because he's the anti-Mob. He is the polar opposite of Mob. I thought at first that it would be his brother, Ritsu, who'd be polar opposite of him. And he's really not. He's got differences, and Masato kind of points some of them out. But Teru is the polar opposite of Mob. Teru is absolutely the polar opposite. He is like using his psychic powers to fight people and to hurt people, whereas Mob is staunchly against that. Teru seems like he's super confident, whereas Mob's super shy and meek. Teru seems like he is like a leader and like in charge of people and knows how to like take command. Mob very much kind of just lets things wash over him and he kind of just goes with the flow. Teru like has the girl and seems like he can get girls to like date him. Mob struggles with that an awful lot, and Teru is like loud and abrasive and Mob is quiet and kind of Dimple-sama calls him submissive, but I'm like, I don't think Mob's like that. I think he's just quiet. But yeah, so it's Dimple. I should have realized that it's Dimple, but I thought that Mob completely destroyed him in the last episode, but no, it's Dimple-sama. He's just like a little ghost now that follows him around. He's a little Slimer, and only Mob can see him. I wonder if Teru's able to see him. That's gonna be interesting to see if Teru can see him, but how interesting. And he has the classic, if your protagonist has black hair, the antagonist must have yellow hair. They have the classic like opposing color hairdos to like go against it. But man, again, this episode, the thing about this series is that it goes in no way, shape, or form the way that you think it's gonna go. It does not. The setup of this episode, the title of it, nothing went the way that I thought it was going to go, and it was amazing because of it. So, like, the episode's called Idiots Only Event, and I was like, what's that going to be? And it's really just this big brawl that happens, and they're all idiots, right? And then Kin is that Teru. When you think Kin, I think, oh, it's going to be about Ritsu and Mob, because they're brothers. But no, it's about the Kin, the psychics. And it's Mob has found another psychic in Teru. Interesting. I want to make note, starting right off the bat, Black Vinegar Middle School. When you ever hear something, it's salt and vinegar. Aha! So it's like, of Seasoning City, you have Salt Middle School and Black Vinegar Middle School. Salt is white and vinegar is clear. So you have white salt, black vinegar, and usually salt and vinegar kind of go together. So it's like, yes, I love it. I'm so clever. It's very, very clever. I want to make note that these delinquents that are from Black Vinegar Middle School, Adano being their leader, right, the gang leader, and Tenga the demon being Salt Middle School's gang leader. I want to make note, Tenga looks, Onigawara, Tenga looks like every like space dandy, like every delinquent from the 90s that had like the pompadour, like every like I'm thinking Slam Dunk and everything, the pompadour of the delinquent. Like that's like classic trope. And then, but here's the thing, Adano looks like Waizumi from Haikyuu. In fact, I say Seijo, the pants looks like Seijo's uniform. It actually looks like Shiratorizawa's uniform. Shiratorizawa had like the plaid pants and the purple blazer, right? Not necessarily Seijo. So even though Adano looks like Waizumi from Haikyuu, from Seijo, their uniforms actually look like Shiratorizawa's. And they look like this big prep school, right? They look like a prep school. But then Teru, the pretty boy Teru, he's a second year, so he's the same age as Mob, Hanazawa Teruki, aka Teru. So he has a nickname just like Mob. So I want to say, what was Teru like doing with the phone at the very beginning? So he's like, it had to be done. Like yeah, he blew Onigawara into the wall, and he's like, they had the nerve to stand up for me. And so he's texting on his phone, and he says, what's for lunch today? We can actually go out for lunch sometime, right? Oh, he's texting her. Oh, they're like completely different people, just like you guys. It's not a bad idea to have these guys indebted to me. So, God, yeah, he's just the polar opposite of Mob in every way, shape, or form. It's kind of amazing. And then, be it people or power, I'm going to take advantage of everything I can. So, yeah, whereas Mob is trying to do, like, the humble, normal approach. He's like, I have these psychic powers, but they're not all that I am. He's like, I want to be a normal person as much as I can, so I'm going to try to, like, do things the right way, the gung-ho way, and just try my best. And it's so precious and like a cinnamon bun and the most innocent bean. And Teru's like, I'm going to take advantage of everything and use my psychic powers to the fullest. Like he's going to take his gift and use it to his advantage, right? And I love, he's like, after all, I'm the main character in this world. And the fun thing is that in the last episode, it ended with Reigen telling Mob, you're the protagonist of your own world. So both Mob and Teru believe they are the protagonists of their world. They're like anybody would, right? God, it's great. I'm just noticing like those little tiny things. We'll talk about Misato in this, but oh my God, like I have a feeling this whole OP, I'm just going to keep digging it up now, especially now that Teru is involved. Okay. And Teru just going like Super Saiyan and then it cutting to Mob. Oh, it's great. And Mob clearly does not like Teru by the end of this episode. He's like, nope, you're not on my friend list. So Dimple-sama's back. That's who that was. The green Slimer is Dimple-sama. I like that Mob's immediate reaction is to make sure it's not a dream. It's just to pound Dimple-sama into the ground to prove it. And he's like, well, you know what they say, yesterday's enemy could be today's friend. And then he just like whacks him with it. He's like, oh, you want to shake hands? Nope. The animation and the movement and energy of this episode was absolutely wonderful. I loved every bit of it. And the thing of it is like, Mob's like, well, I want to make sure it wasn't a dream. He's like, then why were you so violent? And he's like, I need to just exercise you. And he's like, no, I like, who are you? And he's like, I'm Dimple, the head of the religious group. And he's like, we had a fight to the death yesterday. He's like, oh, so you didn't disappear. I love that he's like, we just fought to the death. Mob's like, okay, I'll finish the job. And he's like, no, wait. So he's like, I don't want to live the rest of my life as a spirit. And I love that Mob's like, but you're dead. Like, you can't go back to being living. I love that he keeps calling him Shige-chan. And then he's like, it's Shigeo, or I'll exercise you. If you call me that again, I'll exercise you. And he's like, no. So Mob secretly does have that rage mode within him. He hides it. And he tries to like repress it, right? And so in comparing him to, all I could think of in that moment where he was saying, if you call me Shige-chan again, I'll exercise you. And he's like, okay, Shigeo. All I could think of is, and I will try not to spoil this for anybody that has not seen Neon Genesis Evangelion, but there was a character in Neon Genesis, the main character, and the main character befriends someone, and they get on a first name basis. And it's kind of romantic in a way. It is romantic. And a lot of people were like, well, he's just nice enough that he just accepts it and it's fine. I'm like, no. First name basis is like a big deal in Japan. Like if you say Chan in front of a name or something, that's a sign of endearment. And so, no, it's a big deal if you go by the first name basis. So like in this case, Mob is like, no, you're a disgusting ghost. Do not call me Shige-chan. We are not close. We are not friends. You will call me by my name and that's it. And he's like, oh, okay. So it reminded me of that watching, which is funny because Mob, for being the precious angel being that he is, he does have a limit and he does have standards. And that's important to note, right? So Dimple-sama, old Dimple wants to become, I guess I'll just call him Dimple. He wants to become a god in spirit form. And Mob's like, okay, well, that explains why you started the religious cult, even though it was destroyed. And he's like, now I know. And he's like, in order to gain command over people's hearts, I have to show off some strong psychic power. So he just wants to use Mob. It's sad because, and I think this is where Ritsu's kind of interesting, is that I don't think Ritsu knows about Reigen. I don't think he knows about him. I think Mob's kind of kept that quiet, or he hasn't felt the need to explain it to his brother. But like Dimple wants to use Mob and show off his psychic powers. He wants to show off the psychic powers so that he can gain a following by using Mob. Reigen wants to use Mob's powers but does not want them shown off. And then Ritsu's like, just leave my brother alone. And I really like the conversation between him and Masato. I really like it. And so, yeah, I like that he just doesn't learn his lesson. And the anime gets really, like, dramatic in animating Dimple. But Dimple's like, I'm going to possess him and use him. And it's like, no, you're not. And you're just going to float around him and bother Mob. That's what you're going to do. For the record, Ritsu is drawn really cute in this episode. Like, he has the spiky protagonist hair. And his eyes, it's his eyes. His eyes are drawn so soft. Like, Ritsu just has, like, the softest, kindest eyes. Like, Mob's eyes, when he's not in rage mode, they're just, like, big, and they have, like, a little dot in the center where he constantly looks like he's stressed out, and his hair's all a mess, and Mob's just a mess. But Ritsu always looks so put together, and he's so, like, has just calm eyes. So, Ritsu does not have psychic powers. He doesn't have psychic powers. He can't see anything. He wants psychic powers, but he can't have them. And he's the younger brother. I thought Ritsu was older, but no, he's a year younger than Mob. That's interesting that Mob's the older brother. I guess that kind of makes sense, though, because I'm an older sibling, and I could kind of see the vibes where Mob, like, has that quiet stress. I'm like, I can totally get that. That makes sense. And Simbil's like, your brother seems pretty smart and nice, Shige-chan. And he's like, my name is Shigeo. And he's like, if you call me Shige-chan one more time, I'll exercise you. And he's like, oh, all right, sorry, Shigeo. I'm like, now, Dimple, don't be trying to possess Ritsuko. Let's not do that. Ritsu, let's not do that. And so, poor Shigeo, just like, he has to fight with the telepathy club president who's trying to, like, convince him into doing things. And he's like, no, I don't want to do it. And she gets, like, discouraged. And then he watches Sabomi-chan walk by, and he has little blushy cheeks, like he just wants her to notice him. And then I like that Dimple's like, I see how this is. And then I cracked up because you have Ogoda. Goda's doing, like, the big, which Goda seems like such a, like, buff man's name. I don't know why, but it's like Chad. You just see, like, Goda, and it's like when you hear the word Chad, you kind of imagine in your head the type of person it is. When I hear Goda, I just think of, like, a big buff man. So that name is perfect for him. But I love that Mob's just like, like, really, he has, like, the 3-pound weight, and he's trying to do it. It's amazing. And poor Dimple's, like, looking at him like, I like that Dimple's looking at him like, you are kind of hopeless. But Goda is, like, really supportive. And he's like, you can do it, Mob. Like, he just has a look on his face like, that's right, small bean. We'll get you muscled up. It's so cute. It's so cute. But, yeah. So, that's when Masato says, you're Kageyama Ritsu-kun from class 1-3. And he says, yeah. And she's like, I'm Masato from class 2-1. So, she's the same age as Mob. He's like, you're the same class as my brother. He's like, if you want to know about his psychic powers, ask him yourself. So, interesting. So, I'm guessing people have asked about Mob in the past, and Ritsu's like, you need to go talk to him, which is good because he's like, one, he doesn't talk about his brother behind his back, but two, he's like, go talk to him yourself. Don't ask me. And I wonder if, because Ritsu is pretty, he is nice looking, he seems athletic, like she says, and he's very popular, if people would rather go to Ritsu than Mob because they feel he's more approachable. And he's like, no, you want to talk about my brother? Go ask him. Like, give him attention. And then she says that she has something interesting to tell him with her little notebook. I thought it was a camera at first. And Ritsu says, did something happen with my brother? So he is very protective, right? I'm watching Spy Family at the same time. And I got like a little hint of there's a character that is the younger brother of one of the characters. And the younger brother is very protective of his sibling, which is kind of cool. I like the subversion of the trope because usually it's the elder sibling that's super protective of their younger brother or sister. And here it's kind of reversed where the younger brother is like, what about my big bro? Like he's like constantly watching out for his brother, but they're only a year apart, right? So he asks if something happens. And so meanwhile, I'm amazed. We had the first 2 episodes had so much Reigen. We haven't had much Reigen the last 2 episodes, 3 and 4. So I am a little sad. Hashtag tears for not much Reigen. But I do love that when we go to the spirit consultant office, he's like, I'll exorcise this evil spirit's photo. And they just show him like doing like this secret like Dragon Ball Z style slow move. He's like, come back in 2 hours. Because that's how much time it's going to take him to Photoshop it out. Graphic exorcism. What a trash king. And he's just sitting there. This is one of Reigen's special moves where he uses CG software to edit photos. He knows how to use Photoshop. God, I love him. And just the dramatic to make them look perfectly natural. And he like does the dramatic button thing. God, it's great. And then he accidentally goes, crap. I accidentally raised the client's eyebrows. I'm like, no, dude, just press the back button. You're fine. Unless this is like an older version of Photoshop, you're good. So he says, Master, Dimple knows that he's a fake. Dimple immediately knows that he is not psychic at all and cannot even sense him. And so I think it's interesting that Dimple's like, do I tell Mob that his master's a total sham? No, this will only work to my benefit, so why should I? He's like, I could let him know, but I'm not going to. I'm going to play this out, and this will work to my advantage. And so then Mob asks if Reigen can see Dimple, as Reigen is like printing out the photo from his printer. God, I love him. And he was like, of course Reigen can't see him because he's not psychic, so he has no clue. And he's just sitting there like airing out the photo like, oh. And his excuse in the way he delivers that line is the most perfect thing in the world. He's like, he's too weak for me to see. He's like, for you, it should be like a ladybug on your shoulder. Because here's the thing. Reigen knows that Mob is powerful. And Reigen knows that if it really was a spirit that was a problem, Mob would just get rid of it. Mob wouldn't put up with that. He's like, oh, no, you're good. You're fine. Do whatever you want. Like, the fact of the matter is he can't see it. But instead of admitting that, he's just like, oh, no, it's so weak. I can't even bother with it. You'll be fine, Mob. And Mob's like, well, lucky for you, Dimple. It's so good. God, he's in this episode for a minute. Am I a Reigen truther? He was in this episode for a minute and he was amazing. I might be. Well, we're a third of the way through the season, if you can believe it. We are a third of the way through the season. Crazy. The Act 1, we'll talk about the 3-act structure. The 3-act structure. Act 1 is technically over. Interesting. And he's like, if you don't cause any harm, I won't erase you. So yeah, Shigeo's like, you can stick around, Dimple, as long as you don't do anything stupid. So interesting. I get the feeling that Dimple is going to become like the side character that he starts out this series like he's going to possess Mob and try to take over the world. And then as the series goes on, he slowly abandons that goal. But that's what you expect is going to happen. And this show has totally like subverted all expectations up to this point. So maybe not. Maybe he'll end up possessing somebody. Maybe he'll end up possessing Mob. I don't know. So Mob Donalds is probably the best product placement parody I've ever seen in an anime. It's absolutely hilarious because it ties to the show It's Mob Donald's and says a delicious lifestyle, Mob Donald's, where dimples magically appear on your face when you eat. Just, God, it's great. It's like there's nothing that triggered it. So now the Mob Donald's, I wonder if that has to do with Dimple. And he says there's nothing that triggered it. He was born with his psychic powers. So now the question is is Mob's family psychic? Or is maybe one of Mob's parents psychic and it's like genetically passed down through the generations and Mob has inherited this power, but Ritsu has not? Or maybe it's like inherent and inlaid within Ritsu and he just hasn't activated it yet? I don't know. But he says he was born with these psychic powers. It makes the dinner scene back in episode 2 make a lot more sense because he when Mob bent the spoon, he was like, huh, and the parents were like, Mob, and you saw Ritsu straighten it out for him. Ritsu just kind of helps protect his baby brother. And so Misato, he's like, ever since I can remember, Nissan has been causing strange phenomena and showing me. And he shows him making the water do that, kind of all just float in the air. To me, Nissan was the standard of the world. I love that. I love that Ritsu is my brother is my world. He's everything. He is what I strive to be like, which is so crazy because Mob thinks that no one strives to be like him. Mob thinks that he has all of this stuff against him. And it's dude, your younger brother thinks you hold the moon in the palm of your hand. He loves you. So that's so sweet. And I love that he just has whenever it gets Ritsu's face in the scene in the cafe, the way that they animate Ritsu's face, there's just something beautiful about it. And the animation is so soft and endearing. And there's just something I don't know how to describe it, but the way that he's drawn is so perfect. It's kind of insane, right? He's the standard of the world. And she's standard? And he's it's been a while since Nissan used his powers in front of others. And he's what happened to my brother? And she's well, how do I explain that he was kidnapped by a cult and that they now think he's a god? How do you explain that to another middle schooler? And she's he caused quite a stir. And this poster, he's we're looking for our god, the Psycho Helmet Religion. Mob Coons caused quite a stir. The Psycho Helmet Religion. Oh my God. The fact these people worship him now. And I love that then they cut to Mob. They show the face. He's does this look like Yushigeo? It does. And he's no. And then there's a phone number. Oh my God. They're seeking support from Mob. And he's they're so easy to read. Because, of course, yeah, the people that were in that room, with the exception of maybe Misato and Mob, were people that were... And Misato was only there because she's a reporter and she wanted to get the scoop, right? But the people that were all there were people that were, mentally... Not mentally, thinking, cognitive thinking-wise weak, but, spiritually, they were easily hypnotized, easily manipulated. They're those type of people. They are the target audience for a cult. And now they all think that Mob is some kind of god, and they want to worship him. And that's what Dimple wants to use. Mob Coon's hidden charisma managed to bring forth adoration from a lot of people at once. His hidden charisma... I like they phrase it as charisma. Mob has this secret, the charisma inside of him, that secret alternate persona, that other personality, right? And she's yeah, he instantly had people's attention and now they want to form a new religion. And Ritsu's not happy about this. She's I think he deserves more recognition. And she sits there and flicks her. I like that animation where she just flicks the straw back and forth. He needs more recognition. She wants to get him more attention, right? But she also wants, she wants to write a good story because she's thinking of it from a reporter's standpoint. She's yeah, I think Mob deserves some more recognition for what he's done. She's I want to write about him because it's a good story that will get me lots of attention. So she's doing it for her own agenda. She, like Dimple, like Reigen, is technically using Mob. And Ritsu's not happy about that. And she's so I thought I'd get an exclusive from your... But here's the thing. She thinks he deserves more recognition, but she won't interview Mob himself, even though she's in the same class as him. Probably because, one, for two main reasons. One, she doesn't think Mob will agree to it. I'm sure she'll think Mob is like, no, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to do an exclusive. No. And walk away because that's Mob. But two, Ritsu is the popular brother. He's the one that will get her more attention. If she had a story that she said was from Mob's perspective, nobody would probably care because they don't think Mob's popular and they don't like him. But Ritsu is popular. So if she uses Ritsu to get the story about Mob, then people will read her story. And Ritsu shuts that down real quick. He's like, no, I'll have to decline, Misato-senpai. And his eyes and everything getting dark. Like, the Kageyama boys have some hidden darkness, right? They have some hidden anger issues. And they're like, no. He's like, Nissan's powers are not some sideshow. Yeah, I love him standing up for Mob. Because it's like, yeah, you want to write this story about Mob, but you're just using his powers and making them seem like a circus act. And he's like, not having it. Not with my little bro. Not with my big bro. Because he knows how sensitive Mob is. And how sweet Mob is. And he doesn't want him getting used. And she's like, oh, that's not what I meant. And then she says, well, maybe I did. And she's like, but he could get really popular. And he's like, I'm going. Like, bye. And she just watches him go. Kageyama Ritsu-kun. So yeah, and then she has this stuff about him in her notebook. She has like a little crab drawn. She says his grades are at the top of his class. So what she has Kageyama Ritsu, class 1-3, in the student council. Hot! Top of his class. Good at sports. Good at sprints. Apparently he's fast. Seems a bit hard to get close to. Has a lot of secret fans. Relationship with his brother. Unknown. I don't really know about Mob-kun either. Likes tofu. Blood type B. Born July 2nd. Oh, he's a Cancer. That's why she has a little crab. That's his zodiac. It's his horoscope. He's a Cancer. Okay. That's interesting because Mob is a Taurus. And Tauruses and Cancers are compatible. So it makes sense that him and his brother are compatible. Cool. I like it. Even though Mob's blood type's O and his is B. But yeah. She's at the top of his class. He's hot, popular guy who's great at sports. Again, I love the Saitama on the Mob Donald's cup. It's brilliant. And she's like, he's got everything that Mob-kun doesn't. But the funny thing is that Mob isn't jealous of Ritsu. Mob loves his brother, and he cares about him. It's almost like Mob and Ritsu kind of want what each other doesn't have, but they don't dislike each other because of it. And that's kind of what I love about this, is that you see siblings in other series, siblings that have something the other doesn't, or that the other wants. Like Ritsu wants psychic powers. Mob wants a good body and to be athletic and to get the girls. They have what each other wants. And in any other anime series, there could be animosity or jealousy between those siblings, but not here. They're very supportive of each other and they love each other, and they're just trying to get what each other doesn't have. The problem is Mob-kun getting muscles and stuff is going to be very, very hard, but it's not impossible. It could eventually happen. Ritsu getting psychic powers is something that may never happen, no matter what he does. So there is a little bit of a difference there, but that's interesting. And she's like, geez, people really aren't born equal. But then we cut back to Ritsu, and he's in his room, like at his desk, and he's like, Nissan was the standard of my world. Psychic powers were a perfectly normal existence for me. So I'm guessing that it's a family thing. Yep, it's a family thing. They've known about psychic powers forever. Because I'm his little brother, I thought I'd be able to use them too someday. That's what I wished for. Charisma, my foot. Popular, my foot. Give me a break. Psychic powers aren't that cheap. Yeah, he's like, he knows. He's like, no, you can't just get psychic powers and get popular or whatever. He's like, this is much more serious than that. And he tries to bend the spoon. And it doesn't work. That's so interesting. The dynamic between Mob and Ritsu is so fascinating. I kind of love it. And so then him and his brother, like, they end up going to school together. And I like that, again, they're only a year apart. So they're like about the same height. But even the animation, they draw Ritsu just like a little bit more bulkier, a little bit more athletic than Mob. And they both look kind of different. And Dimple makes the comment that he's close to him. But I like that Mob like won't talk back to Dimple-sama because he doesn't want his brother. He doesn't want to show off that he has a ghost on his shoulder. You know what it reminds me of too? I'm watching this at the same time. Please no spoilers because I'm watching it blind. But I'm watching Death Note, and Ryuk following Light around is kind of like Dimple-sama following Mob around, except Ryuk is endearing. Dimple is not. So there's a clear distinction there, and Light and Mob are polar opposites. So there's that. He's like, why don't you use your psychic powers more often? And I like that Mob says, I don't get any opportunities to. He's like, I'm not going to hurt people with them. So, no. And then Dimple's like, but there's plenty of chances you could use your psychic powers. And I like that as he's like lamenting and being horrified, Mob's just like he just smiles. It's great. And he says, I guess you don't have any desires. He's like, I do, but using my psychic powers would be pointless. And he's like, oh, why? And he's like, psychic powers aren't needed to survive in the first place. He's already solved the crisis of Full Metal Alchemist. He's already solved it, right? It's already great. And I like that he's being such an inspiring big brother to Ritsu. Ritsu's like, well, why don't you use your powers, big bro? And he's like, because, little bro, I don't need to use my powers. And Dimple's like, you're the only one that thinks that. And he's saying this out loud so Mob can hear him. He's like, they're not pointless. You just haven't realized how useful they are. He's like, you could use them. And he's like, are there things you can't have even if you use your powers? And he's like, not at all. You can become a god. And Mob's like, no, I can't get muscles. Muscles. Psychic powers won't grant me muscles. And not only the way that it's drawn with Mob like outlined in the thing, but the super serious, I'm gonna get a photo of it, the super serious face of Dimple-sama when he like looks at Mob being like, what are you even talking about? He's like, why would you want muscles? You have psychic powers. And then he's like, or the ability to understand girls or read my surroundings. He's like, I can't use psychic powers to understand girls, and I can't read moods, which is my biggest weak point with my psychic powers. So he's like, why should I use them if they're not going to help me? I think there's even more than that, like wisdom. Aww. And Ritsu, he's like, I envy you, Ritsu. And Ritsu's like, oh, what? And I love that look on his face, like he's so serious. Ritsu's like, oh. I love that. I love that Mob admits, he's like, I envy you, Ritsu, because you have it all. And Ritsu's just like, what is this? I love the way he's animated in that scene. It's so good. And I feel for Mob, because when he's like, find the area. I am not a math person. I'm an English major, so I remember area and math and me being like, he's like, yeah, and psychic powers don't help you solve math problems either. Mm-hmm. And Dimple-sama was like, what a waste. If these powers belonged to someone else, we would have seen a completely different world. Well, that's where Teru comes in. But I wonder if Dimple will try to abandon Mob to go to Teru. The Body Improvement Club is absolutely wonderful. I love them. I love that they're just so beefy. And I love when he greets Onigawara, like does the chest bump and like the chest flex. It's amazing. And they call out, like Onigawara calls out the telepathy club for being in the gym too. And Goda's like, I really don't have a reason for them to be here, but we're not going to change the subject. He's like, let's go outside and handle this. He avoids the question. It's great. I said this in the reaction, but I like that the school that Mob and them go to is kind of like, it's like a little bit run down. It's not like a pristine high school. Like you can see that there's like a crack in the window and they've just taped it up. They haven't actually like fixed it. So, because they probably don't have the funds to do so. So it's a pretty mediocre school, right? And so Onigawara tries to ask the Body Improvement Club for help in fighting against Tetsu and his gang. But the Body Improvement Club are like, no, we don't fight in petty wars because that's stupid. It's lower body strengthening month. We have squats to do. It's amazing. He's like, fighting is stupid. Our muscles don't exist for something so petty. I love it. I'm like, what do they exist for then? It's great. And so they fight and it doesn't end up working out. And then meanwhile, Mob is like, his rate of explosion is up to 28%. It like doubles the moment that Tetsu like comes onto the scene though. So Tetsu, speaking of which, We get of course, the foreshadowing that today's weather, lots of parts will be sunny. However, there will be some instability in the atmosphere. And we see him with his bread and everything. There's a possibility of thunderstorms and high winds. If you're going out, it may be a good idea to bring a foldable umbrella. And he like flicks his hair and everything. He's like, you gotta fight poison with poison. And they're like, I think it's fire with fire. I think you got that wrong. I love that his own gang like corrects him. Yeah, Onigawara is not smart and he's not great. He somehow manages to lure all of the participants out there, but I think it's half because they're so curious as to who's this bad at luring people out that they want to see it for themselves, and it all somehow works together and works to their favor. It's kind of amazing. But yeah, Mob goes to get the love letter. But Mob is so starved for affection and so starved for love that he's like, well, but if it is a girl, I don't want to leave her hanging because that would be mean. Our precious cinnamon bun. He wants somebody to like have a crush on you. He's so starved for love. It's so sad. But so Onigawara ends up sending a letter also to Inato and the other guys. And I love that they call them rice bastards instead of rat bastards. It's great. And then the club or the other gang members are like, why, like, Idano-san, you're so smart. Like, what is this? He's like, no, Onigawara is just really stupid. Which is highly true. I also like that Onigawara, he's this delinquent that has this bad boy image, like the bandages and everything. He's drinking a carton of strawberry milk. I think that is the most non-threatening beverage you can drink is strawberry milk. There's like nothing says a sugar bean like strawberry milk, and he's sitting there drinking it. So I also love that he has like the Luffy one-piece hat, like straw hat on his head, and then Mob is the little lure with the love letter with the little bowl cut, and then it lures all of I like that all the fish that come to get him have the gang members' hairdo and faces. It's really clever animation. I like it a lot. But he's gonna lure Mob there to get him like to be beaten up by the Black Vinegar guys, and then they expect the Body Improvement Club to come in and save Mob and beat them up on their behalf. So he's like, ugh. And the fact that he wrote, I'm a girl, and put a heart on the letter thinking that it would work, and the other gang members are like, you're an idiot. No one would fall for that. But Mob does, because Mob has to be thorough. Oh my god. And I love, he's like, well, if it is actually a girl waiting, I would feel bad for her if I just stood her up. And he has like the little blush on his cheeks. I don't know. I said in the last episode that I thought Misato would be like a good girl for him, but she, in this episode, kind of reveals that she's sort of out for her own agenda, and she's planning on using Mob just for her own like press. So I don't want that for Mob. Like, if she can realize the errors of her ways and that Mob's not somebody to be taken advantage of, then maybe. We haven't seen enough of Sabomi except for the whole get a clue thing, so I don't know. I just want Mob to find love and happiness. Happiness for a boy. And so then Ankle Park. God, Ankle Park is great. But these guys show up and like try to get a hold of Mob to use him to hold him hostage for the Body Improvement Club to come, and he's like, what's going on? Mob's like, what's happening? And I love the clouds going over the sun, and I love that they find the note in there. He's like, Captain Musashi, there's trouble. And he's like, what? He's like, I found this was under the dumbbell. We have Kageyama if you want him back, fight us with Black Vinegar Middle School. And I love that it just shows Gona getting madder and madder. God, this episode's wonderful. The Body Improvement Club pumped up 100%, and the way that they're so epically drawn with the shading and everything and the lightning behind them, it's absolutely amazing. So meanwhile, Teru's on his date and like, what do you want to do today? And he's like, what do you want to do? And she's like, well, first go to a cafe. And he's got like his arm around her and everything. And then he gets the text message. And he's like, are you... I love that animation where Teru's like just, oh, that's so good. So good. And Dimple's like, Shigeo, do you know these guys? He's like, no, not at all. He's like, do you understand what's going on? And they all like bats and stuff. He's like, no, not at all. He's like, ugh. And the thing about it is, as Mob demonstrates later, he could get away at any time. He could use his psychic powers to get away at any time. But because he's not going to use his psychic powers to hurt other people, he has decided not to do so. And so I love that these middle school guys are like going to use Mob, and then that's when the Body Improvement Club comes. And I love that they're just like, the lightning flashes and Goda and them are there, and they're just drawn so epically. He's like, I'm captain of the Body Improvement Club at Salt Middle School, Goda Musashi. And like, there's all the guys passed out, and they're like, Kageyama. He's like, bring him here. And they're like, who? They don't even know who they kidnapped. And I just love these, like, who's that? And you think that it's going to be this big, massive brawl to get Kageyama, to get Mob back. And it's going to be this big ordeal. But no, Mob just walks up, like, still tied up. He's like, hey, guys. Like, he just shows up. It's the best thing ever. He's like, oh, hey. And they're like, him? And he's like, oh, I just had something to do. Like, he doesn't want to get them in trouble, and says, Kageyama. Absolutely amazing. Like, I promise I'm not slacking. Oh, it's so cute. And so he's like, it looks like you're not hurt. I freaking love the Body Improvement Club. They're the best. Goda is amazing. They just look after Mob like he's one of their own. It's so cute. They're like, let's go home, Kageyama-kun. We need to get back and work out. I love it. I love it. And so then they try to battle the Body Improvement Club, and I love that they just flip them away like flies. It's amazing. And then Onigawara shows up, but then Teru shows up. Apparently you need to be disciplined. And Mob's like, who's this? He's like, are you aware of the term organized violence? Those pieces of trash lying around are the symbols of my authority within my life at school. Everything's about Teru. The world's about Teru. He is the protagonist of his own story. And so he's like, you've hurt my dignity, so now you've thrown my face in the mud, and now you have to pay. And then I like that Goda's like, are you a delinquent too? Like, that's all he asks. He's our shadow leader. And then he has like the green around him. And he tells Adano he's not going to be the leader anymore after today. Because he's like, you're just ridiculous. And Goda's like, we're not here to fight you. We got Mob. Bye. And so that's when he decides he's going to attack the Body Improvement Club. And he doesn't kill them, but he like really hurts them, right? And like when Onigawara tries to attack him, he like sends him flying back with his like laser beams, and it like burns through his actual like clothing on his jacket, his uniform. Oh my gosh. And just like, it's like the shonen protagonist, like the shonen fight, you see the blood coming off of there. He's like, it's just a slap, but it packs a punch. He's tiny, but he swings like a bear. He's like, are you even human, you monster? And we see him with like this tiny frame, but this like Dorito-shaped body muscle form. He looks like, God, he looks like, from Seven Deadly Sins. He looks like the main protagonist. Oh gosh, it's gonna escape my mind now, but he's the protagonist of Seven Deadly Sins, and he's Raph. You all know who I'm talking about if you've seen the Seven Deadly Sins. He has the blonde hair, but he's like little, but he's muscular. Yep, that's who it reminds me of. And he's like, you have some uniquely excellent muscles. And Teru's like, muscles? Nah. He's like, I'm just using my mind, baby. And then the way that he just like saunters and like moves about is so lithe. And he like takes the hand and like basically like does that with it onto all of them and pushes them all away, making them fly through the air. And I love the lightning bolt comes down and they're all in the air above him. The animators really like animating Teru. They really do. Although when Mob goes into rage mode, I think they might like animating him a little more. But yeah, all of them try to attack and it just doesn't work. And he uses that psychic power to blow him away. And that's when he notices Mob. He says, wow, one of you is apparently pretty tough. And it's just Mob tied up. And he's like, wait, what? And I love this where he's like, what's with this guy? His presence barely registers, so I didn't even notice him. It's like when Goku's like hiding his power levels. It's just like he's hiding it so you can't tell. Or rather, why is he tied up? And he says you shouldn't use them against people. Like Mob thinks, he's like, you know you're psychic. I know you're psychic. You shouldn't use your powers against people. And Teru's like, excuse me, what are you talking about? He says, I'm talking about your psychic powers. And then he uses his that you've been hitting them with. And Teru is like freaked out. He's like, what? He's like, let alone using them for fighting. And then the lightning comes down between them. Mob progression towards mob's explosion, 45%. So we don't get to see Teru's reaction. So, the question is, how is Teru going to react to all this? How is he going to react to Mob's declaration that he's a psychic? That is he using his powers? That is a big question. I'm assuming that Teru knows that he's psychic. I'm assuming Teru knows that he's psychic and these powers he's using are psychic powers. But the question is, it doesn't seem like does Teru know that there are other psychics out there? Does he think it's just himself that has these powers? Mob doesn't seem surprised that there are other psychics. So that lends me to believe that his family has psychics in it, because otherwise Mob would be like, oh man, another psychic like me. But no, Mob's just like, you shouldn't use your psychic powers. Like it's no big thing. So, and Ritsu didn't seem surprised by the psychic powers either. So I feel like they know other psychics. And so, but the question is, does Teru know? I don't think Teru knows other psychics. I could be wrong though. But it's going to be interesting to see, like, how does Teru react to Mob? Is he going to try to fight Mob now that he knows that Mob's psychic too? Is Mob going to explode again? What is Dimple going to do? What are these guys going to do? Are other people going to notice that Mob has psychic powers alongside Teru? How does this work? Because the Body Improvement Club and the gang, they don't seem to think, they haven't acknowledged that Teru's abilities are psychic. They just think he's really strong and different. So, but they haven't checked out that it's a psychic ability that he has. So I'm very curious to know, like, how's this going to go down? Are they going to fight? Is Mob going to run away? Is he going to walk away? What's Dimple going to do about it? So many questions, but Teru, it's funny because I'm watching all these shows and you can see like parallels. I get like, there's like almost like a Deku Bakugo from My Hero Academia vibe with Mob and Tetsu. Tetsu kind of has like that Bakugo, like, I'm amazing vibe to him. And Mob kind of has that Deku, like, I'm just doing the best I can vibe to him. So it's going to be interesting to see like how their dynamic shakes up, right? But I really enjoyed this episode. This episode was a lot of fun and did not go at all how I expected it. But at this point, it's just things are happening and I don't know what to expect. So it's just like, just let it happen, you know? So we'll see. We shall see. So I'm curious to know your thoughts down below, what you all think of this, but I'm pretty excited to dive into the next episode. I don't know if I'll be able to wait. So in the meantime, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I will be back very soon with more Mob Psycho 100. Bye.